Alright, if you have been to my panels before, welcome back. If not, hello.
Hello.
This is our newest AA meeting. Does anybody have anything they need to confess first?
It's been 2 hours.
This is intern. Alright, well let's just first play the beginning. No, it's Good God. Welcome to Anime versus Manga, the Battle of Filler. So if we all like anime, we've all experienced filler. So I've broken this panel filler into 3 categories. It doesn't necessarily mean you may hate the filler, you may like the filler, you may hate it. It's more of based on how it works. So I have the good, the bad, and the ugly.
No, it's the movie. I wonder what you were referencing earlier.
So the good filler is material in the anime that adds to the characters, to the story, adds depth to everything. The bad is when material forces characters to be out of character, or it delays stories such as Perfect
Naruto!
Filler that is so long, it has to change the name of the show to tell you there's no longer filler.
It's still filler on.
And finally, the ugly, I consider, is filler that completely contradicts what is written in the original source material. Now sometimes ugly filler, though, may happen because the people who are doing the anime don't know what the creator is going to do 3-4 years down the line. So they may create something inadvertently that is contradicted later. Nevertheless, I'd say I still put it under the ugly category because it just doesn't make sense with the story later on. So perfect example, go to good. We're going to start with the good. Perfect example is Sailor Moon. In the manga here, you want to go to the next one? Nephrite is first introduced in the 4th chapter. Continue. He is then killed in the 5th chapter. He really has no character development. And this is something that the Sailor Moon manga has pretty much a problem with, because all the main villains throughout the story are essentially monsters of the week. So the anime, the anime is pretty much 90% filler because it goes into the normal monster of the week stories just like Sentai and Kamen Rider have. However, it added character development to them, such as this clip I'm going to show you of Nephrite.
Sorry to drag you out at such a late hour, Nora.
Oh, it's fine. I was so happy when you called.
Well, I came here to say goodbye.
I won't let anyone hurt Mr. Sanjoin. Nora, what are you doing? Stop now! Hand that over to me. So you think he's going to come rescue this human? Nephrite, you came!
I've got a message for you to deliver to Zoe's site. I'm not giving up the Dark Crystal.
What have you done to him?
Thank you for being part of my life.
Nephrite, please wake up. No! You can't go. You promised that we would have a chocolate parfait together. You can't just break a promise. You can't.
Alright, so yes, as you can see, Nephrite has a lot more development. Also, the first season of Sailor Moon went on to develop the characters even more. Right after Jupiter comes in, they have then just a quick story with Venus coming in, and then the Silver Millennium Crystal appears, and you learn the secret of who Sailor Moon is. However, in the anime, they still added a new story arc where the Silver Crystal was broken up into 7 different rainbow crystals, so they could develop it, or stretch it out as well, but they could develop the storyline along farther to continue it.
When the 7 great monsters and the rainbow crystals are revived together, then the legendary silver crystal will be found.
They were sealed away eons ago by our enemies.
Your memory serves you well. The legendary 7 great monsters were the most powerful warriors of all. Until that day, when we suffered a great loss to our enemy, those cowards sealed away the 7 great monsters into separate fragments of the legendary silver crystal, and then banished them to Earth. Those 7 fragments are known as the rainbow crystals.
And then more of Sailor Moon, if you have watched R, S, Super S, and Stars, they kind of continue along the same lines. Now, one thing is, originally Naoko I just butchered her name. Originally, she was planning to have Sailor Moon, the manga, be those 13, 14 chapters long, and that was it. However, due to the success of the anime, Toei begged her to continue the story along so they could continue adapting it into an anime form. And that's also why, if you've watched Sailor Moon R, the first 13 episodes is its own little story arc with the Death Tree, because they didn't have enough manga material at that time to adapt the Black Kingdom family saga. So Sailor Moon has, obviously, its goodness. Another thing is Dragon Ball Z actually managed to have some good moments. In the manga, when Goku dies for the first time, the manga goes along, says 6 months have passed, and fast. Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Krillin, Yajirobe, and Chaozu trained at Kami's. And then in the next panel, it just says, as for Goku, he's running, still running and running and running toward Kaiosama. And then it goes to talk about Gohan, and then it just jumps to 6 months later.
But once it passed, let's go fight Saiyans.
In the anime, they developed more of it, showed more of Goku's journey along the way, showed Gohan learning how to live on his own before being trained by Piccolo. And we also got to see a little bit more training of Tenshinhan and gang both during that time.
Where are we?
I don't know, but there's been some serious fighting going on around here. Look! It's a Saiyan!
Not anymore.
Help me!
Chaozu!
Let me
I know that feeling.
Yajirobe.
The true defeater of Vegeta.
Kami. Only your physical bodies remained here. With the help of this room, your spirits made dream bodies, which they used to travel to the dreamlike past.
So yeah, Dragon Ball Z, despite the fact that it could drag its fights out by only adapting one manga chapter per episode, sometimes 2 entire panels for one episode, it did have some good moments of character development throughout the series, at times, when it was reasonable.
Reasonable being the key word here.
Now another series that I feel has had good filler is One Piece.
Yes.
During the Alabasta arc, when the characters first arrive on Alabasta, they meet Luffy's brother Ace.
Sorry, I love Ace.
For obvious reasons.
And he pretty much leaves almost as quickly as he arrives. And then also the characters of the cast, when they make their way to the village that, now I can't think of her name,
Evie?
Vivi is taking them to, they pretty much get to it with one battle with a lizard, and they get right to the village like a few pages later. In the anime, Ace actually stuck around with them for a great deal in the desert, which helped develop his character, and also along the way, they developed the deserts of Alabasta with desert pirates and characters that are in villages trying to be guardsmen or act like guardsmen.
I am Barbarossa, captain of the Barbarossa Pirates. And your name's Luffy, huh? Please let me apologize for being so rough with your friends here. It's just that we're all so hungry we got carried away.
I don't mind at all. Thanks for your concern.
Wait, what's that?
Baby, we're getting pulled even further in. It's quicksand. If we get pulled in all the way, we'll never get back out.
What's that? You're a rebel soldier?
No, nothing of the sort. We're just simple travelers passing
Now say your prayers! You dastardly sea pirates are dead! These brave rebel soldiers are gonna
miserable world to stand up and rage against scum like you, than be remembered as a lying coward who ran away.
I don't know, Ace. He doesn't look the type. Do you really think that this is the guy who beat up Blackbeard?
Not sure. The only way to find out is to meet him face to face. You're finished! Prepare yourself. This is the end.
I'm going to do it! We need you!
Get down. Take cover.
Father! Please come back home!
I love you too, boys. Fire fist. I love you. You boys are my life. I was foolish. Now come on. Let's go back home.
Yeah?
So again, One Piece, like Dragon Ball, has had its moments where arcs are stretched out, especially in more recent episodes of New World for One Piece. But they have had moments where they've been able to find good times to have filler that is enjoyable to watch and develops more of the world around them and the characters. Now there was another series that did do some good filler with Yu-Gi-Oh! In the manga, after Yami Malek has defeated Yami Bakura, they go to the final battle place, the duel tower of Alcatraz. And they begin the final duel there. In the anime, however, they did a little detour. In a little arc called the Noah arc.
Noah Ark, I get it.
However, the card game aspect in that arc was a little bit dragged on and kind of dumb, but they really did a nice job in developing Kaiba's character and Mokuba. It added more depth to the characters, especially because some of what they talked about in this arc was talked about in the early parts of the manga that were not in the original anime, because this stuff was developed during the Death Tea arc of the manga. So here is a few clips from the Noah arc.
何してる？早く船を安定させろ！
何事だ？
兄様、バトルシップのコースが目的地から外れているんだ。
なんだと？
僕の名はノア。
Oh God, I love
To
this.
extend your reach to the world above.
この日を記念し、緊急役員会を開きます。
無駄な瀬戸。私への反乱を企てたようだが、お前の持ち株は 49%、私の持ち株は 51%。よって私の社長の座が覆ることはない。
待って
奥歯。
俺の2枚分のカードを兄様にあげるよ。
バカな、そいつはお前を見捨てたんだぞ。
あの時の兄様はちょっと気が立ってただけなんだ。
木馬。
俺は兄様の味方だ。
逆転だな。全てを失うのはお前のようだ。
You really just face though.
Those,
That was great, wasn't it?
okay, those, it's like, what is it with these stray cats looking so deranged?
All right. So those were just some examples of the good.
Oh.
It all goes down here, hell to here.
Downhill from here.
That means
So
categorize with the nearest.
We've got the bad. The first series I'm going to talk about for the bad is something from Dragon Ball. During the second tournament of the saga, Goku and everybody are fighting through the preliminaries. And they pretty much just go through it. And as soon as the preliminaries end, they go right to the main tournament. Continue. And again. And then when they're done, they divide up the matches and they just start right away. Keep going.
Oh.
Well, in the anime, they decide to break the tournament up over the course of 3 days. The first little bit is just a little bit of what happened during the time between the preliminary matches, which were then broken up into 2 sections. So they had preliminaries part 1, then they had a little bit of, then they took a break for half an episode. And here are just some clips of what happened during that break.
Get your genuine unofficial t-shirts! Oh, stupid net.
How could you mess that up?
All right, one more time. Of course.
Piece of cake.
You're not supposed to use live rounds. This is a game, not a shooting range.
I can put a few holes in you.
No, thank you.
Give me my prize. Move it.
Here you go.
A stuffed toy? Try again. Why don't you get some real prizes?
At least Wong is having
Anyone ever told you you have horrible table manners?
I agree.
You pass this waste off as food? The stench alone is enough to make me lose my stomach after a hard day's So go cook one. What?
As the second half of the elimination round got underway, nearly all of the 182 competitors had been defeated.
Next slide.
That was great.
That just happened.
Now, also, so during the tournament, like I said, they were breaking it up. So in the manga, when Goku finishes his match with Krillin, go to the next slide, he is asked, would you like to take a break first? Goku says, oh, I don't care. Really? Well then please just stay out here, and they get started on their match. Here is what happened in the anime between that.
Fight fans are in a frenzy of anticipation as the final match of the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament begins today. Last tournament's second place winner Goku will take on the volatile Tien Shinhan in what promises to be an exciting battle. If you aren't here, you should be.
Here's George to tell us about the situation in Nikki Town.
Thank you, Wes. It is a regular invasion of the body snatchers down here. In In this land of the dead, who knows what psycho is causing this massacre? From dusk till dawn, from Crystal Lake to Elm Street, nobody is being left behind. If this Hellraiser slithers into your town, we suggest you find a cabinet once and knocking. Make sure you let the right one in, or you'll be dead by dawn.
Good morning, Yamcha. Yamcha? How strange.
I tell you what, this fight is going to be bad to the bone. We've been camping here 5 months waiting for this.
Yeah, I quit my job for this fight.
But I don't care. This is great.
Special delivery! For you. Thanks. Wow, it feels warm.
That's because it just came out of the dryer. I hope it didn't shrink too much.
I'm surprised it didn't melt. The dryer had 3 settings: hot, magma, and sun.
That wasn't
He's just trying to confuse you. Focus on your objective. Tao must be avenged. Goku must pay for his transgression. Hold on to the memory of Tao. Let's go.
Ready.
So as you can see, Dragon Ball was no stranger to stretching stuff out even before it became Z. Now we have another little bit from Yu-Gi-Oh! Once again. At the end of Battle City, Yugi and Janochi have a duel that is never shown, and the next chapter shows his grandpa in ancient Egypt, and it begins the memories arc. In the anime, however,
They added a completely new one.
wasn't ready yet. In the anime, they added a few more arcs, one called Doma, that kind of changed things and really put the characters out of character. And also, in the one clips when you see Yugi during the duel I have, his hair has really gotten wacky looking.
What are you talking about, man?
Oh god.
その神秘なる力が我の力となるよう我と我が敵を聖なる刻印の庭で囲め俺カルコスの結界発動だ俺カルコスの結界そのうちに入りたる者ランプとの干渉も排すただひたすらデュエルを続けるのみデュエルの決着がつくまでランピとたりともこの結界に入ることかなわずまた出ることもかなわぬ結界を出ることができる者それはすなわちデュエルの勝者のみ敗者はその魂を聖なる結界によって封じられるのだ速攻魔法発動バーサーカーソウルバーサーカーソウル手札を全て捨てる
He's going Super Saiyan.
Well, they are on top of trade. It's kind of to be expected.
Now the ugly. The first series I want to talk about under the ugly, which as I said, it is when things go so wrong, it completely contradicts the material. Whether it's making it so that characters' actions are different later on, or they start to make up their own storyline in the anime where there's just no way to continue with the manga, from the manga material. The first one of this I want to cover is Claymore. For those of you who are not familiar with Claymore, it's that there's these monsters, it's a medieval style, kind of think of Berserk, but with a female character. She fights these monsters, and there's a little bit that the character she works, the organization she works for, it turns out that these characters also have inner abilities to turn into monsters themselves. Towards the end, in the manga, she's battling this lion-type creature, kills him by mutating herself into one of the monsters. And to get her to remember who she is, one of her co-mates comes in and ends up getting herself killed to return her to her human form. The manga then introduced a whole set of new characters, two characters named Alicia and Beth, that were meant to be like the top of the line hunters for these demons. And also the series, there was this one kid who was with the main character, Claire. He got separated from her and he actually ended up training with one of the demon kings.
Rocky is God.
Rocky, yes. And then, the thing is in the manga, Claire and all these other hunters, an entire army of demons come up to the city and no one knows exactly what happened to them. One girl says that all their lights have gone out. And then the story jumps 7 years and introduces a new character named Clarice. Continue. And then when we meet Claire, she says that she has not seen Rocky for the last 7 years. Well, the anime changed that a lot. A lot. So here's a few clips. What is this? One thing also, Rocky did not know that Claire had a demon form. But in the anime here, he does.
Is that really Claire? I found her. Her body is continuing to awaken.
You killed Teresa.
I will never forgive you!
What darkness does it portend? Find out on the next exciting episode. Last time.
Damiola! I won't forgive you! You're gonna die! You killed her! You killed her! Claire! No!
The child's unstable, though I have no intention of letting her go yet. That's why I'm taking her with me.
Zora.
It's over 9.
Live as a human. Grow as a human.
What?
Die a human death. This is the greatest gift that I can possibly give to you. So use it well.
Can I just say I just blue screen of death there?
Yeah, and that's how the anime ended. It didn't do any jumping of 7 years. She just goes off along with Rocky. And also, the demon she was fighting was a former colleague of hers, and they don't meet anywhere again until long after the 7 years. And also with the series actually did just end recently in Japan with volume 26, so they may eventually decide to claim our ultimate end. Now we have we have a return to the original Dragon Ball series.
Okay.
No!
In Dragon Ball Z, we learned that Dr. Giro created the artificial humans. However, in the original Dragon Ball, as I said earlier, that Toei would not have known what was going to happen in the future. A character, artificial human number 8, was introduced. Well, in the manga, you never learned who built him or anything. Whereas in the anime, they created their own doctor that was the artificial human's creators, and Goku takes artificial human number 8 to him to remove the bomb from his chest. So this completely contradicts what happens later, even though there was no way to know what would have happened.
And his soldiers were defeated yesterday after android number 8 went renegade. You remember that one, right? Of course you do. After all, you made him. Just think, Doctor, how all your fellow villagers might react if they learned of your involvement with the Red Ribbon Army. That you were the man responsible for giving life to their most monstrous creation. It's alive!
I've always wanted to say that.
I wish I had the courage to tell eggs and enzymes in the barn. I had no choice. They would have killed the villagers if I didn't. Perhaps someday I can tell him the truth.
And now we have another Dragon Ball bit of ugly filler. After the end of the Namek Saga, when Bulma wishes everyone back, it just says, all too quickly another year has passed, and Goku hasn't come home yet. Well, duh, he's the worst father ever. Well, and then, as you may know, Frieza returns and everyone starts freaking out. Or returns for the first time now. Well, the anime decide to bring in a movie character, which makes this really strange because the movies cannot coexist in the same universe as the series, because in the Garlic Jr.'s movie, everyone meets Gohan for the first time, but then they all meet him again for the first time in the Raditz episode, first episode of Raditz. So they created this movie character, brought in a movie character, and also, in the movies, Gohan acquired the friendship and support of a dragon, who also appears in this arc. So here's a little bit of the Garlic Jr. saga.
Oh god. The most pointless arc ever.
Krillin, you didn't forget about me, did you?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you. Who's that?
Oh, this is my martial arts partner, Gohan. Gohan, this is my friend, Mary.
Hi. Well, let's play. What do you say? Whoa, look at that sunset.
What's this? What happened here?
Oh, don't mind this copy. What does that have to do with? Because it was nothing but garlic.
Perfect summary.
Once again, we return to One Piece. Zoro runs into Alabasta arc where he fights a guy who's made of steel. He says he has never been able to cut through steel before. So he fights this guy and starts to learn how to fight, he can start hearing the breathing of the steel and learns how to cut steel. Well, in the anime, there is a little arc well before that contradicts this.
Stupid.
Chains of steel, huh?
You cut him?
There isn't anything I can't cut.
Great. Get to it.
Yeah, and that happened well before they even met Chopper and Vivi and all of them. Another one, which is Full Metal Alchemist. So the main villain is the High Father, and we meet Mei and Ling. Now in the anime, the original anime, they completely contradicted things because the Sins were different characters in the later half of the anime than they were in the manga, such as Wrath in the manga became Pride in the new anime. So here are some clips of that.
Hello, Sloth.
This is Sloth. You mean someone with that name was born?
There's a new lust, too, which means that the 7 of us have assembled for the first time in a long time.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Greed. I'm so honored to make your acquaintance.
I may be greedy, but I'm still not a fool. I have no intention of fighting 2 homunculi at the same time. Great.
Oh well.
Now, give me your entire body. Once I have that, I'll be a real human.
Prove yourself. Someday you will be a real boy.
A real boy.
Why must I always remind him that you're too important to eat?
Exquisite.
No wonder Edward loves you so much. He does, you know.
You look like you're hurt. What's wrong?
What have you done, you idiot?
I got it from your safe.
You are foolish, all of you, even my own son.
Like burning.
So Full Metal Alchemist, if you know the series, you know that also in manga or in Brotherhood, the little boy is actually Pride in that series, as opposed to just Wrath's son.
And is also the biggest douchebag ever in that series.
Yes.
Oh, I hate
My final series under Ugly is Hellsing.
Oh dear. This should be fun.
There is an arc where these two brothers attack the Hellsing Hell Quarters, and when they're defeated, go to the next slide. One of the brothers just spouts off when he's asked who sent you. He just says the words Millennium. They have no idea who this is. It continues. Next slide. We're introduced to new characters. One of them is a guy who uses cards named the Dandy Man, or the Dandy. And they go on to learn who the real villains are. In the anime, we had a character named Incognito who followed Set.
Set, god of chaos who dwells within me. Consume this vampire in the flames of hell.
God's how cheap works sometimes.
I will see you grovel before me in disgrace. You will become part of me and serve sin for eternity. It seems that you were not just another simple bracket. But no matter, you cannot destroy me, for I am imbued with the power of the most ancient god. I welcome eternal pain.
And that's literally the end.
Wait, what?
Yes.
So basically, screw the original series. I'm watching Ultimate instead.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, the villains are...
George Lucas. Who else like George Lucas?
And this is just a gift.
Through my life, I have discovered so many forms of war. You get up in the morning, you get into your shitty car, and you see a rich CEO who works half as hard as you do drive down the street in his Porsche. Class 4. You make it to work, and you find out that the annual drug test is today. You just so happen to take a puff of your one-hitter a couple nights ago before dinner with your wife's awful parents. Drug war. But then, you find out that the only ones being called in for testing are your black and Hispanic co-workers. Then you try and post about it on your Facebook, but then all your friends start arguing about what's right and what's wrong. Flame war. You finally get home and you decide to relax by watching a program about who gets the box, what's in the box, how much is what's in the box worth. Storage wars. What I am telling you, my Nazi army of 1,000 vampires, is that I am a purveyor of war. And with your help over the years, we are now at the precipice of our true goal. You see, I want a simple war. No class wars, no drug wars, no race wars, no flame wars, and certainly no cold wars. Blue balled for 40 years. What I want is a war that only we can bring. A true war. A German war. The sequel you all been waiting for. I want World War III!
Gosh, I'm level someday.
There's Mars, bringer of war in the background.
Alright, so
that is pretty much all I have to cover for this panel. Does anyone have any questions?
oh, good.
Yes.
Why no bleach here?
Because there is way too much to cover.
Don't have the extra
Alright, girl in the back, you?
Would Inuyasha and Skippy also count in?
Oh, that would be ugly.
Yeah.
Yes, honey? Yes, you.
Where would you classify in Naruto's Kakashi's space reveal?
David, you're a Naruto fan. What do you think?
What'd you call that? Oh, are we talking about
Kakashi.
or so on? Discussion?
I call that a good filler episode. It really didn't add any real.
It was just fun. It wasn't that because it was
another mask. Yeah.
The rest of the filler can go die in the burn the fire.
Any other questions? Anything else? Oh, yes, you, honey?
What would Black Butler be considered as?
Black Butler is ugly because, unfortunately, it diverts so much from the anime.
You mean the manga?
The manga, yes.
How about the Samurai X series?
Rurouni Kenshin?
Yeah.
The first half, like the filler in the first bit, I'd say is
No, the
good.
OVAs.
Oh, the OVAs?
I actually say the first two OVAs, in my opinion,
Betrayal, the one where he was when he was the Batamsai, right? Yeah.
Bazosai, yes.
Yeah.
I would say that would be good.
The one where they do the Anishi arc in like a 45-minute OVA, that is purely ugly. If you've ever read Rurouni Kenshin or Samurai X, the Anishi arc I find to be so much better than Shishio because it really does go into the history of everything about Kenshin.
And even the manga creator hated that storyline because he felt that it really just turned his characters into a depressing world.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes, you in the back?
How about Fairy Tail?
Fairy Tail
Which
film
one?
is a mix of bad and ugly at times. When it stays on par though with the manga and actually has a few good filler arcs, That's a rare occasion.
Another one I would put under bad because it's not necessarily terrible by any means, but it does stretch things out a little bit, is Attack on Titan. Because some of the filler does kind of drag things out a little bit too much that it kills the pacing.
Yes.
What about Pokemon?
Alright, if we had to create a new category, it would probably be nightmare. Any other questions?
We've got time for 2 more questions.
Oh, we'll get you two as well.
Okay. The concept of, like, you know how Soul Eater goes, right?
Yes.
Like, the manga set definitely just
Well, there's actually rumor that they're going to be doing what they did with Brotherhood for Soul Eater. Obviously, that's unconfirmed. It's just from a lot of rumor mills.
But hopefully it does happen.
And if they do it, from what I've heard, possibly, and once again, this is unconfirmed, that they could possibly integrate some elements of Soul Eater not into it.
But also a question. About the endings to the anime and manga, would you say that they're comparable in some way, or would you say one is better than the other?
I'm not going to say if one is better than the other because I personally prefer the manga, but I love the anime.
Okay.
So it's one of those animes, just like the original Full Metal for me, that I will always enjoy it for what it is, but I wish for the actual. Your questions?
Bye guys, thanks for coming.
Bye.